So it's been all over the news that former health secretary and kangaroo scrotum eating attention addict Matt Hancock has had a bunch of his WhatsApp messages leaked to the press. But how? Well, these messages were all willingly shared by Matt Hancock with Daily Telegraph journalist Isabel Oakeshott while she was ghostwriting his shameless COVID cash-in book, The Pandemic Diaries, which appears to be an almost fictional account of how Matt Hancock bossed the COVID crisis like Big Sam Allardyce taking the reins at some relegation-threatened Premier League club. Now, some people have reacted with shock and outrage at the fact that these exchanges on WhatsApp between politicians are quite chummy and light-hearted, but I'm not sure why anyone would expect them to behave the same way on WhatsApp as they would in a Commons debate, for instance. Personally, I'm just shocked that there isn't more utterly deprived memes or surprise porn videos, which seems to make up about 80% of the WhatsApp messages I receive, although that probably says more about the company that I keep than anything else. These WhatsApps are being drip-fed to the public for maximum impact, but so far we've learned that Hancock thought that Eat Out to Help Out was a terrible idea. I mean, didn't we all? Encouraging everyone to sit inside in shared spaces in the middle of an airborne pandemic. Who thought that was a good idea? I remember sitting inside those packed pubs and restaurants thinking, this is a terrible idea. But who can argue with scampi and chips and a pint of shandy for £2.50? Worth risking your life for if you ask half the British public. Hancock felt that Boris Johnson was a distrusted figure. I mean, that's not really news, is it? What's next? Did he think that the Game of Thrones finale was a tad disappointing? By the way, these messages also show that Boris Johnson commented on a news story of two people being fined £10,000 each because they broke quarantine rules as superb. Like the morally rudderless Teflon twat that he is. Hancock wanted to scare the public when he was pondering the precise moment to release details of a new COVID strain for maximum impact, which suggests a misuse of power, especially when you look at the contempt that Hancock and senior civil servant Simon Case show for the public in another exchange of messages in which they laughed at those holed up in quarantine hotels. Oh yeah, and apparently during a shortage of COVID tests, Jacob Rees-Mogg had a test directly couriered to him. Although I bet that man has everything directly couriered to him. COVID tests, clean underpants, the still beating heart of a freshly shot peasant. But the Hancock stuff is pretty damning, and it all adds to the dossier of information that we have to suggest that Matt Hancock is a bad tit. And I'm not saying it wasn't challenging to be in government at that point. Of course it was. First pandemic in a generation. The science is changing with every passing day. Nobody's quite sure what the right course of action is. But the sympathy runs out quickly because we all saw the VIP lanes set up for PPE contracts for mates. And these monumental, vomit-inducing cash grabs that we all saw as the rest of the nation suffered. These are still being revealed. Because while we lost our sense of smell, Hancock and the Tories smelt opportunity. And understandably, Hancock and Oakeshott have since very publicly fallen out over this. He says he paid her to ghostwrite the book. She said he never paid her to ghostwrite the book. And we all said, what time's double maths? Because it feels like we're back in school now. Maybe actually they both just really fancy each other and they need to just go behind the bins and have a quick fumble and get it out the system. But she's threatened to release more WhatsApp messages. She's actually said that she is sitting on nuclear weapons, which might explain her awkward facial expressions when she's on TV. But here's my big question. If these additional messages are now being released to the press after the book has been published, doesn't that mean that both author and ghostwriter created a false account of the pandemic with that book? And if that's the case, why should anyone read that fictional book? And collectively, we should all pray that he does not release a sequel.
Pandemic Diaries 2. This time it's shitter.
Folks, I'm on tour around the UK this autumn. Go to samaverycomedy.com for all the live dates, and if you want to support the videos I do and get extra content, you can join me in the House of Avery, where for as little as £3 a month you can get extra videos while supporting my content and keeping it ad free. Go to the link in the post. Nice one!